TMZ, I believe it was TMZ, caught up with Damon Wayans, and Damon said something that I thought was it was very poignant in a way. He said he felt like Dave Chappelle freed the slaves. And what he meant by that is so many of the comics and comedians out there, they have had to censor their comedy. They haven't been able to just speak freely for fear of being canceled. And Dave stepping up and really challenge, and let's put this in perspective. Dave is a very, very unique animal here. This is a guy who walked away from 50 million back in the days with the Chappelle show. So him coming and willing to stand up and speak his truth, uh, it now has filtered over to some of the other comedians.
Right.
Because now they feel like Damon said, I feel like he freed the slaves. Like we can go and just get back to doing what we do best.
Right. He's the Malcolm X of comedians, right? So he figured he what he did was he said it's okay to be real again. And Damon Wayans and all those guys, they're absolutely right. A lot of people have lost their comedy edge because of the cancel culture. So now it's like, I can't say this funny ass joke because I may get canceled. You know what I mean? And Dave Chappelle, when the money don't make you and you're not caring about all that stuff, you could be yourself. He's like, look, I I don't need nobody for nothing. I'm going to say he said something, and guess what? It actually worked. They try to cancel him, and other people got canceled. Like,
Nah, it's hard to cancel somebody who truly is coming from a very pure place. He's only speaking his truth, and I don't know that Dave really gives a f. I get the sense that look, win, lose, or draw, I'm gonna put it all on the line for what I believe is true. And for him, comedy must be pure. It must be done without worrying about backlash. And I think that that's the reason why he is now, in some ways, becoming more than a comedian. He's standing for something greater.
right. It's kind of like if a gay person come up to a person and say, "Oh, I can't stand straight people," nothing gonna happen to him. But it's like could a straight person take that offensive? It's like, wait a minute, I find that rude that you think I'm heterosexual. Like, it doesn't make doesn't make sense. It's like they have a right to say it. Just let people be who they are. There's so many different systems and codes that's going on already as it is. Like, man, what do y'all want?
No, you're absolutely right. So switching topics here, Terrence J. Shout to Terrence J. He was recently reported that he was shot at, and I'm not sure if it was a home burglary attempt or if it was a stick up, but either which way, shots were let off. Are you familiar with that story?
No, I'm not. But Terrence J is we just we've been we kind of been working a little bit together with certain stuff, like with the same company with my boy Deion Taylor with Hidden Empire. I didn't hear that story. When did this happen?
This happened about a week or two. It happened about a week and a half ago.
Okay.
They
went to his crib?
Thank God. Yeah. So thank God he's all right. He wasn't hit. But it just really makes you think, somebody like yourself, you've been in and around Hollywood for the better part of going on 30 years at least. Have you ever felt like you needed security after becoming famous?
Never.
Ever? Wow.
So when I grew up on 51st and Hoover, right? So I grew up in the neighborhood. I went to Crenshaw. I went to Manual. So I grew up around that energy. So I kind of understood it. When I was in high school, I had a fight with a gang like this, like the '60s when I was like in a gang, like when I was younger, and I just always felt like it ain't, it's not necessarily that serious. You know what I'm saying? Like you can move around if you just kind of just relax. You know what I mean? Like, and I was always my own man. I was like I just like, it is what it is. I'm from the old school. Like, let's get
Wow.
down.
So as big as Menace to Society was.
I never had security, and I fought a lot of people in LA. Never had security. I was always, and it's validated. But my story is out there. But I just never felt. I felt security. I don't know. I don't know why I felt like it was corny. I don't think it's corny, but for some reason I just felt like, you know what I mean. I felt like, I don't know. It just felt weird to me. Like, security. Like, it just felt weird. I don't know.
I can definitely understand, but in this day and age, it may be times of change. A lot of people are not eating, and the more you listen to the news, a lot of the crime is happening now in parts of LA, like the Beverly Hills of the world, where you typically would not see that element. You
Right.
wouldn't see people getting robbed and stuff like that. So you see a lot of entertainers now getting security, even when they're in Beverly Hills. So it's interesting that you never had any incidents,
And,
as huge as your career
and,
was.
and, and, and you got to understand, like, when you do a film like Menace to Society or something like that, it's for the culture. So a lot of people was like, he did that for the culture. Like, that movie, I raised a lot of people. So
Hmm.
a lot of people look at Menace like, oh my God, like we were raised off of Old Dog or Kane, or you know what I mean. And it's kind of like you get like you got the keys to the, somewhat you got the keys to the city. Like, it's like, you know what I mean. And if you don't mess with people, and if you just kind of like, you gotta understand, rappers and stuff like that, they talking like this or that. Like, if I see you, I'm a bust on you. They got all these different criteria. So a lot of times people want to see, okay, what's up with it?
Hmm. Mm. Okay. In other news, Chris Tucker.
Mm,
Chris Tucker,
mm.
hilarious. Um, but over the last 20 years, this is a man who was commanding something like $20 million
Know
a
him
film.
personally.
You know him personally.
Yes.
Okay, so you know the man, Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
Okay, over the last 20 years, Chris Tucker, he's accused of not paying taxes.
Right.
Something to the tune of $9.6 million
Mm.
in a tax dispute that spans over the course of 20 years. Um, did you ever have any problems with the IRS after making all of these different films?
Not like that. It's just like simple, like a few thousand here, a few thousand there. Nothing like that. I ain't never, nah, because it's just like, it's simple. You just write on, you make them take that shit out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just gotta simplify things. Everybody want to have, you're supposed to have your company, but you all that trying to just get all the money and then you pay it, just confuse. Take that shit out first.